record on this. All right.
There
Now
we
let's see
go.
if you can share.
Alrighty. You see welcome. Perfect. Well, appreciate the opportunity, guys. I am your internal sales consultant, so I work here out of the home office in Des Moines, Iowa. We do typically, and I think he'll join us next time. His name's Tom Hamilton. He is my regional vice president, so he is actually the boots on the ground guy that works in the Carolinas, Virginia, and Tennessee. He lives in Charlotte. He's a really good resource. He's been with the company since 2008. So he would be the guy that might actually come out to your office and visit you. I believe he's met Phil in person as well. So my goal today is not to dive super deep into our products or anything like that, but really it's to give you a high level overview of one, what is a fixed indexed annuity? How do we get into a conversation with a client about it? And two, why would we want to write American Equity? And then the third piece is really just going to be more of a call to action to get you guys to be able to start writing us if you so choose. All right, so this, and I'm going to ask at the end, if you have questions, I'm definitely happy to answer any questions on what I talk about here. This first piece, I really like this piece. A lot of advisors that I talk to, they don't have issues with finding a client to talk to and get into a conversation about saving money or investing, but just how do we get them to the point of talking about a fixed indexed annuity? I think a lot of times when people hear the word annuity, their mind kind of shuts off. They've heard annuity in the past and it's kind of a buzzword for something bad. But if we just look at the different options that we have to, I would say there's three things you can do with money, right? You can save it, you can invest it, or you can pay off debt. So once we've gotten into a conversation with a client to save money, well, let's just talk about what are our different options on where we can do that and what are the pros and cons. So, I'll hit this at a high level, but really from the left-hand side, we've got stocks, which would be anything inside of the stock market, fairly aggressive, right? We have a lot of possible growth, but we could also lose a lot of money inside of this. And, if we look at the stock market over the past 2 years, people have lost 20 to 30% inside of a stock. Mutual funds is very similar to stock. However, it's going to be a little bit less aggressive because we're going to own a lot of different pieces of different companies. A variable annuity has a lot of the same products of our annuities. However, that is also going to fluctuate with the stock market. If we look at bonds, bonds are known to be safe. However, an interesting fact that we can point out from last year is last year was actually only the second time in the history of the stock market that both bonds and stocks and equities were both negative. So even when we think bonds are safe, if interest rates go up, right, the value of a bond is going to go down. So we'll skip over fixed indexed annuity for now, but let's just jump to cash. Well, cash is great because it's very safe, but the downside to cash is we're not earning very much on our money. Maybe 0.05%. Some high interest rate savings account go up to 1 to 2%, but we're also paying tax every year on the growth inside of that. Positive is it's liquid. We can get it whenever we want. Negative is it's just not growing, even keeping up nearly with inflation. A CD is another option. So great thing about a CD is it's just a guaranteed rate that you're going to get. You go to the bank, you buy a CD. When it matures, you're going to get this amount of money. However, a downside is it's not as liquid as cash. So the next place we go is a fixed annuity. A fixed annuity would be anything like a multi-year guaranteed annuity, a MYGA. So we're going to put money in, we're going to get, maybe a 3-year or a 5-year contract, and we're guaranteed this rate no matter what until the end of the contract. So we do offer fixed annuities as well, but where I would say our bread and butter is the fixed indexed annuity space. So we'll dive at a very high level into the product options we have here, but think of this as principally protected, right? You can't lose any money when you put your money in. You're always guaranteed to go north in value or at least get back what you've put in. We do have a pretty good potential for growth inside of If we look at the backdated performance on some of these options, they've done a 6 to 7 to 8% average return over the last 20 years, which is really good for a product that can't lose money. So let's look at that. So let's look at just kind of American Equity as a whole. I would say American Equity, every annuity company out there is pretty similar from a product offering standpoint, but what they can't replicate is our service. So we have really, really good customer service. JD Power just ranked us #1 in the industry for customer service. And I think why that's important to you is not only if you're calling into us, but if your client has a policy in the future and they're calling into us, we're going to answer the phone and we're going to be able to help them out very quickly. Whereas a lot of companies, and I've heard this a lot recently, people are on hold for an hour, 2 hours at a time. So that's really important to us. Number two, we do have a pretty large portfolio, about 60 billion in assets. One thing to note is not all of our money is in the corporate bond portfolio. We diversify into other investments to minimize that risk. Online, we do publish all of our renewal rates. So if you go look on our website, if you're appointed, you can actually see history of if we've ever changed our renewal rates. Really, and one thing I've heard a lot from us is, why are we not an A-rated company? We are an A- rated company. So the reason for that is because we only offer fixed indexed annuities and fixed annuities. So because we don't offer multiple lines of business, we can't go to an A, but we are the highest rated you can be for only offering annuities. And the reason that we want to do that, guys, is because we want to dominate the space and specialize in fixed indexed annuities. If you are a loyalty advisor with us, so number 5 here, we do offer events for our agents that hit certain thresholds. So for example, we've got agents this year that are going on a trip to Switzerland in I think it's in August or September for hitting a certain level of production with us. So there's some pretty cool incentives there, and we are a publicly traded company on the stock market. Okay, so kind of just jumping into the high level of our product offerings, really the main products that we offer, end and shield. So on the left-hand side, this is actually a brand new product that is going to be coming out next week on the 15th, called the Asset Shield Bonus. That's going to be our accumulation product. So think of that as, we would want to put a client into this that just wants to grow their money, right? They don't necessarily need to create income off this. They just want to try to get growth and keep it principally protected. And then all the way over on the right-hand side, that would be our income shield product. So think income. Let's say a client has a 401k. They need to roll that out and they want to turn on income right away. This would be the option for them there. One thing that I actually just looked at that's really cool about our income products, so this is guaranteed income for life. Coincidence that we're talking about this today, but we just did a payout factor increase on our income shield by 10%. And as of right now, it puts us at #1 in the industry across the board of all companies for guaranteed income. So pretty cool to see that when I was looking at that. Here's a couple just tidbits on each of the different pieces here. So just think Asset Shield is going to be for growth. The Asset Shield Bonus product, which is coming out, which is, I think it's going to be really popular. The biggest difference with that is we're going to have a 10% bonus on the money that we put in. So let's say we start a policy for 100,000, we're going to have 110,000 right away. Why I think this could be important in a conversation with a client is clients have potentially lost some money in the past couple of years, on their market correlated accounts. And we could leverage that as a selling point to, make up for some of those losses. The income shield we talked about, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit more depth here, but we've got steady guaranteed income for life, no matter what. So jumping into the Asset Shield, kind of diving a little deeper into the index options. So this is how the client can actually invest their money if they decide to go into this product. And what I just really wanted to point out is how high our participation rates are right now. They're probably the highest they've ever been. But if we just look at I wanted to highlight that. But if we just look at this index here, the CS Tech Edge, we can get a 210 participation rate with no fee. And if we want to pay a fee of 3%, we can get all the way up to a 350% par rate. So that's pretty good, right? If the policy does, 10% returns, we're going to get, what's that? Call it 30%-ish returns on that. So pretty good rates there. Our current fixed rate inside of the asset shield is 4% right now. So that's really competitive as well. These are the brand new payout factors that we just got for our income shield. So this is switching gears over to the income option. But look at how high these go. So if you start at age 50 and we think about a payout factor for that client, we're going to start at about a 4.5% payout factor all the way up to 8.35. So I don't think I've ever seen payout factors that high. That's looking really competitive right now. On the income options, a lot of the times I get questions as to what's the best rider to put on this product. So this is a really good piece that just shows we do have an option if your client needs income right away, where they pay a 4%, or there's no fee and they get a 4% compound interest. So most people will use this first rider if the client needs income within the first 30 days. 1 to 7 years, there's a simple interest rider. So 8.25% simple interest, 7-year accumulation period. That's going to get them the most income there. And then anything above 8 years, we have a compound interest rider that grows for 15 years at 7%. So, summarizing why sell American Equity, I would say number one is going to be our service. We're always going to be there. We're going to answer the phone, and we're going to want to help you and your client out. We're very relationship driven. We don't just want to think of you as another agent. We want to build a relationship. We want to understand, how does your business work? How can we get you to make the most money possible and help the most people possible, right? I would say, looking at a lot of the industry products, we try to keep our products pretty simple. We don't want to add a bunch of underlying things to them that make them confusing to explain to clients. And we're only going to focus on the fixed index annuity and the fixed annuities. So we want to specialize in that space. So, after I go through this, agents usually ask the question, how do I get started? The first thing that I ask you guys, and I'll send this to Phil, I'll send you a link to our training. So the first thing you have to do is just take training on the product that you want to start looking at selling. And then we do have on our website what's called the Ready app. So this is an electronic feature just to do an e-application for your clients in a very smooth way to get started doing business. Here's our current map on who we have covering which areas of the United States. These positions that are saying open have actually filled. So depending on where you're located, we'll make sure to get you the contact information of the proper people that can be helping you internally and also your external here. So thank you. Appreciate the time. And does anybody have any questions?